If you've seen recent videos, you know that the DXY closing above 97.70 last week was bullish for the US dollar, and it could trigger a liquidity cascade, and that's exactly what we're seeing so far today. So I'll have all the details in today's video on the EURUSD, the breakdown that we're seeing so far today, including a must-watch level later this month. And of course, we'll take a look at the DXY as it breaks above some key levels. Now, if you want my help with your trading, guys, including real-time market updates, seeing my trades live, 2 weekly videos in VIP only, and also full access to the course. I'm in there every day, guys. I'm in Discord every single day, helping out members. So if you want real-time, market updates, my help with your trading, check out the link in the description of this video for 85% off lifetime access. And look, guys, if you don't love it, which I'm sure you will benefit. And I'm so confident in that I'm willing to guarantee that through a money-back guarantee. If you don't love it, contact me within 7 days. I'll refund every penny. So I'm making it a risk-free opportunity to join us and see what it's all about. All right, guys. So looking at the EURUSD, let's take a look here at the 4-hour time frame. We've got that May channel that we've discussed in recent videos. And you can see where, so far in July, it has been a very slow grind lower. And so far today, we are getting the breakdown. Okay, so this is kind of what I've alluded to here, especially with the DXY closing above 97.70 last week. We know that was a critical close for the US dollar that could trigger a bullish dollar, and that's exactly what we're seeing so far this week. So this right here, guys, this is what I announced in VIP. This is not hindsight stuff. I announced this short entry up here through this consolidation in VIP as I was taking the trade, and stop loss above here never really came too close. And this was my second take profit technically, because I was taking my first profit through here on these lows. So I am out of this trade. It was a very nice trade. Always nice to book some profit. Now, any trades from here, obviously I could have trailed my stop loss here, but I'm of the type that I love to just get out of a trade, especially when you're talking about a 3R or better trade. And so right now, guys, any trades here, any shorts here for the euro will be separate trade ideas, at least for me. That's just how I operate. That's what works best for me. So looking at the euro 4-hour time frame, again, we are looking at the market breaking below 116.30. So you can see that these highs back here, right? This was very clearly a support level. However, so far the market is just punching right through it. This blue level here too, this is what's called a single print in TPO terms. Essentially, this is an imbalance. We talked about this recently as well, including in the weekly forecast. But you can see back here, we have these highs for the euro. So this was the range that we were in here for quite a while. And you can see the expansion out of this range. We never got a retest down here. We've talked about all this in recent videos and how this area around 116.38 could be a target, which we're seeing obviously today. All right, so where could this market be going here over the coming days? And there are a few things to consider here. First of all, we've got this little pivot through here right around 115.85. So that is going to be the next support for the euro. Now, obviously, any breakdown today below this area up here, okay, is going to flip this to new resistance. So, breakdown today would flip this to resistance. You've got support down here with that single print down there around 115.65. Now, the other thing for the euro, though, that you really have to consider, and by the way, guys, if you are enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button, because I'm putting out these videos every single weekday. All right, so the one thing you have to consider here for the euro is if we look at the 3-month time frame, and we've talked about this before, but if we look here at a linear chart going all the way back to the 1980s, the euro has been moving within this channel ever since 1985. Now, I've talked about this recently as well, but the way that we get pricing data prior to 1999, which is when the euro started, is this uses a pre-euro basket of currencies. Okay, so what is fascinating about this is that even with that, you still get this very clean ascending channel going back here to the lows and these highs. Now, again, this is a 3-month time frame. Okay, so quarterly time frame here, very, very high time frame chart. And you can see where we had support back here, the market broke below. And if I zoom in, you can even see where the euro tested this in 2023. Okay, so if I move in, you can see where this was the range, obviously, that the euro was in for several years. You can see the breakdown back here in 2022. We got the retest in 2023, and June closed back above. So that was a quarterly close back above that level. So what we talked about at the time, guys, is that this right here could be technically significant as a bullish reclaim, okay? Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky, though, and you really have to have a firm understanding of how timeframes play into markets price action, right, and future directions. And looking at the 12-month time frame, here's where things get a little bit tricky, because this is also technically valid on a 12-month time frame. So every candle on this chart is 1 year, okay, 12 months. And the thing about this is that we have the euro holding below here on a yearly closing basis. I know that that sounds crazy, but again, this is a 40-year channel. And so even though we have seen the euro close a month and even a quarter back above this 115 area, you have to consider that right now, technically speaking, the euro is holding below this area on a yearly closing basis, okay? So now this isn't very practical. I mean, you can't really trade off of a yearly chart unless you're just looking for those high time frame levels. So what this is going to come down to, if we look at, let's say, a weekly time frame and come in here, you can see where this level comes in right through here. And, obviously going back 40 years, it's tough to get a diagonal level, exact, right? But looking at this chart, you can kind of see where this is our key level through here. And this is the level that goes back there to 1985. Now, you can also see where on the weekly time frame, you've got this candle, this red candle back here. So what happened here is the euro closed a week above it. You can see we got the retest as support. The market held it. The next week opened down here, closed up here. So that tells me that this area down here, right around 115, potentially just above that mark, is going to be very, very significant for the euro, okay? To the point that we probably see buyers step in from there and defend that area. Now, obviously, there's no guarantee that we get all the way down here. I mean, the market could test here and then bounce. But the point here is that this is going to be an incredibly significant region for the EURUSD. All right, so likely a bounce from here. Buyers probably step in and defend this region. Obviously, if we were to see the euro closing high timeframes above this, I'm talking, weekly and even monthly timeframes, back down here below this, then that, of course, could be bearish for the euro because remember, the EURUSD is technically holding below this on a yearly closing basis based on that 12-month chart we looked at. Okay, so in the short term, though, again, looking at this on the daily time frame, right? Clear breakdown from this channel here going back to May. So a close below this area, below this region through here today, makes this up here resistance. Now, what you can see here is that if we get the close below here today, still a big if, right? We still got several hours left in today's session, but you can see that off of lows like this back here on Monday, this is kind of what I would be targeting if we were to get the close below as far as resistance, right? This pocket up here. Now, again, if the market were to close back above here today, then this stays intact as support, and this would not be a resistance area that I'd focus on, okay? So it's all about where the market closes today. But so far, again, a very clear breakdown here from the euro. Now, let's take a look at the DXY here because obviously this is also going to matter. And this is really kind of why I've talked about recently that, the DXY closing above 97.70 last week could trigger a very bullish dollar going forward in the second half of July. And this is why, because if we go to, let's say, a monthly time frame and look at this here, this is that 2011 channel off of these lows that we've discussed many times in these videos. And the thing is, 97.70 was the critical level that the DXY closed below in June. It was retesting it as resistance so far in July. However, what I talked about recently, okay, and I think I mentioned this in the weekly forecast. If I didn't say it there, I certainly told VIP members is that when the market was trading through here, right, you can see our key level down here in this area, right, 97.7. When the market was trading through here, clearly resistance on these upper wicks. Okay, but when the market closed above here, that was the trigger that we were likely to see some follow through to the upside here for the US dollar. Now, the other part is that you can see that through here, the market never backed down from 97.70. Sure, we had little, intraday sell-offs through here, but every single time the market snapped right back to 97.70, and consolidation below key resistance like that is often bullish. Okay, and that's exactly what we're seeing so far today. Now, one thing I talked about in the weekly forecast is how we had an unfilled gap back here in June, right around 98.35. And that was filled today. Obviously on this 4-hour candle, that got filled, and we really didn't see any pullback from this area. Now, this is another benefit to being in VIP because we talked about this in real time as we do with all these moves. And this right here, okay, this close, a lot of people, if you were looking at this, you might be trying to short the US dollar here. The issue with that, though, is when you look at things like the EURUSD and even the pound, they were already starting to break down, okay? So between that and also the velocity of this move here, the aggressiveness of this retest, I told VIP members when DXY was literally trading right here, that first initial retest, I said I would not be trying to short the US dollar, given the look of this candle here, the look of this move, and also the fact that the euro and also pound were starting to break down. So again, benefit of being in VIP, guys, is you get those real-time updates that you aren't going to get here on YouTube or the website. So looking at the DXY now, we have the market, obviously closing above here on the 4-hour. As long as this region holds down here, then this is going to be now key support for the DXY. Now, we also have a buy-side imbalance up here right around 98.85. So that could be targeted next year as long as this area holds. Obviously, if we see the DXY back below here, then that could be a fake out and we could see the DXY trend lower, okay? But as of right now, the DXY does look relatively bullish here with 98.35 coming in as new support, and we've got that, again, that imbalance around 98.85, okay? Now, zooming out, you can see where really this puts the DXY back here within this range, okay? So we have the range highs back here and the range lows through here. So this reclaim that we saw here recently, even though the market was grinding higher and it was pretty messy through here, this put the market back here within this range, right? So anytime you see this on the high time frames, then the odds of a move, at least to the mid-range of this, which really are these lows back here that we're seeing tested right now, is very likely. And really, honestly, when you get this here and you get the market reclaiming a range like this back here, the odds of getting a retest up here are also pretty good, okay? So at the moment, I would say that this is where I'd be targeting these highs back here around 99.30. And again, we have for the euro, if we look here on, let's say, the 4-hour time frame, we go out here, you can see that this area down here, this pocket down here is where that 40-year channel bottom is going to be, okay? So this is the region that I think if we're going to get a euro bounce, and buyers are really going to step in, I think that this is probably the area where that's going to happen, okay? Because that's, the bottom of that 40-year channel that we just looked at, right around 115, maybe just above. And again, for the DXY, these highs up here around 99.30 are going to be significant as well, okay? So a lot to consider. I know that this video is a longer one, but there's a lot to consider here with the euro, not just what's happening here on the 4-hour time frame or even the daily, but going all the way to the weekly and even, monthly or 3-month time frame, guys. There's a lot happening here that you really have to be aware of, okay? So again, this is that region, that pocket down there, right around 115, maybe just above. That is going to be a must hold for the Euro USD, okay? Because anything below that, then we're looking at a retest of these highs down here all the way back toward about 111.50, okay? So that would be a big drop for the Euro if we were to see 115 or 115.30, that area through there fail over the coming days. All right, guys. And as a little bonus update too, let's take a look at gold because I mentioned this yesterday, guys. And so far, we are seeing the market rotate lower. I'm not going to go throughout this entire setup because we talked about it yesterday. However, I did want to provide an update just because we are seeing that follow through following the US CPI that we saw earlier today. Okay, so lower high here into this resistance area. As you guys know, I did share a trade in VIP in real time. 33.57 was my entry right through here. Stop loss is well above these highs. My invalidation for this is 33.70. So again, I talked about this in yesterday's video. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. But so far, lower high here looking pretty good, holding below this region. Notice how today's high too came right up there into the poor high that was formed here earlier this month. And then we had that open gap from June that was filled here on Monday. Okay, so this trade, so far in profit, Euro USD out of that one for a very nice profit here today. So just wanted to give you an update on this, although the market is approaching some support here. But all in all, guys, I mean, like I said in yesterday's video, I know a lot of people, when you start talking about a gold short, everybody kind of cringes because they say this is a bullish market. Why would you do that? And really, yes, longer term, okay, in the macro, it's a bullish market. But so far, over the past few months, this is really just a ranging market, okay? And we haven't seen the market come down here in this area. So I think a sweep of these lows down here could be in order. The key word there is could, if the US dollar does stay strong. But again, you've got to go back here and keep in mind that the DXY into these highs around 99.30 is going to be significant. So if the US dollar pulls back from there, you're probably looking at a bounce from gold, which could line up with those lows down there around 32.50. All right, guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope this helped you navigate these markets, including the Euro and the DXY and even gold. And if it did, be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button. Don't forget to join us in VIP. Check out the link in the description of this video for 85% off lifetime access. Trade well out there. I will talk to you again tomorrow.